This is Community College Magazine on ITV, the vision of Pikes Peak Community College.
Hello, I'm Luis Concepcion, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today in the Community College Magazine brought to you by Pikes Peak Community College. Our guests today are Dr. Daniel Carroll and Senator Owen, and we're going to be talking about the subject of immigration, which I heard have a lot of things to do in the re-election of the President Barack Obama. And myself and my guests, we're going to try to shed some light into that and what will happen in the future. But I'd like to welcome Dr. Carroll.
Hi, how are you? And thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And also Senator Owens. How you doing?
Thanks so much for having us on. It's a real treat to be here today.
The pleasure is all ours, and I know that we're going to learn a lot about the issue of immigration in the nation and also here in Colorado Springs. And like I was saying, a lot of people were saying that the last election was decided largely because of the issue of immigration. As a matter of fact, I mean, this is being said in both sides of the aisle, and a lot of people working to get the immigration issue solved. But before we go into the subject, why don't you talk to us about yourself, the Senator?
Fantastic. Well, again, thanks for having us on. It is a real treat to be here. I came to school out here and met a local gal and fell in love with her, and now we're raising our 4 children out here, and just want to see Colorado be this place that people want to come and want to live and raise their families and build that real sense of community. And so it's fun to be able to talk today a little bit about how immigration fits into that.
Okay, and Dr. Carroll, I'm holding your book right here, Christians at the Border. Why don't you talk to us about yourself?
Yeah, for me it's a little personal because I'm the son of a Guatemalan. My second surname is Rodas, and so I was raised bilingual and bicultural. Un saludo a todos. I spent some of my time growing up in Guatemala, and then I worked as a professor in Guatemala for about 15 years. I'm involved with the Hispanic community up in Denver. I go to an Hispanic church, so there's this personal side to it.
Okay.
That means a lot to me, and then because of my Christian faith as well.
Okay, and we set up the interview talking about how the immigration issue was a big part of the re-election of the President Barack Obama. What is your take on that?
Well, Louis, the reason immigration is such a big deal in politics is, you see, it's the ultimate expression of someone saying, I'm going to leave the home where I know and we have family, and I'm going to go to where there's opportunity and there's freedom, to use my God-given gifts and talents to make myself and my family and my community better off. And so anytime you're dealing with an issue that represents such a significant decision in the life of a family, obviously it's going to be very important to them.
Okay, Dr. Carroll, how the church sees the immigration issue and how and talking about how it helped elect or re-elect the President Obama.
I think one of the things that Christians have not done is to relate their faith consciously to this topic. And so that's one of the things that I've been trying to do over the last few years, is to educate the people about immigration and how the Bible addresses that. And the Bible's full of it. And in fact, migration is a metaphor for what it means to be a Christian in the New Testament. So I think one of the things that Christians need to do is to begin to think very self-consciously as Christians and let the Bible inform their view about migration. And once they begin to do that, the conversation changes.
Okay, there was a lot of sound bites, and when we were going through the last presidential election, I mean, the ideas and the points were real far away. You know, on one side of the aisle, people were talking about immigration being something that need to be dealt with in a hard way. You know, and I was amazed by it because when I came to this country, that's when we have the last chance to become citizens. You know, all the illegal people, they became citizens, and it was done by President Reagan. We are about to go on a break. When we come back, I want you to give me an answer to that question. We are taking a break. We'll be right back with Community College Magazine, brought to you by Pikes Peak Community College.
I'm interested in biology.
Here's that information.
Accounting,
Communication. Chemistry. And business.
phlebotomy,
Night classes.
zookeeping,
Animation.
Reanimation.
At PPCC, what you'll find will surprise you.
You shouldn't be out alone. You should be taking evening classes at PPCC.
And we'd like to welcome you back to Community College Magazine, brought to you by Pikes Peak Community College. And we are talking, myself and my guests, about the immigration issue and how things have changed in the last 20 years. Especially, we were talking about how it changed from the point of view of President Reagan to what happened in the last election. You take on that.
Well, you know, Reagan understood something that was really neat, right? Understood that America represented this land of opportunity and freedom where you could come. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter, you know, what the color of your skin, but you could come and you could provide for yourself and for your family by working hard. And unfortunately, too much of our discussion has been tainted by some of the failures of immigration rather than the successes. And I hear you're a success story on that front.
Thank you.
And it's important as we go forward not to devalue the people who have done this in the appropriate way, but also to talk, how do we have reform going forward to make it easier for people to do this in the right way, to do it in a legal way, and still recognize that this is not something, it's not a decision taken lightly, but to pick up and move and adopt a culture and become a part of that and a productive member of it requires some real willpower, and that's exactly what we're looking for, is that same kind of mentality. That's the American spirit.
Hey. And Dr. Carroll, you've been also a success story in the immigration in the part of your mother, who is from Guatemala, I heard that she passed on short time ago. What did the church take on the immigration issue, and why have it changed from President Reagan to what it was in the last election?
I think I'd go back to what I said earlier, that because sometimes when you get to these bigger issues, many Christians determine their position more by their political party than by their faith. And so if we can get people back into the scriptures and thinking about this very Christianly, you know, Christians are supposed to be known for their compassion and the care of the vulnerable. In the Old Testament, when it talks about widows and orphans and the poor, it adds the immigrant, you see, to that group. So compassion should be the hallmark of what it means to be a follower of Jesus. So if we can get people to think along those lines and not just about political commitments, I think the tone of the conversation would change because we'd have different kinds of conversations, not only between those who disagree, but also as we look at the immigrants. And you know, what we see, if we're talking about Hispanic immigrants, which is our background, overwhelmingly Christian as well. I mean, so from the Christian side of the discussion, what we're seeing is a major influx into every denomination and the Catholic Church in this country as well. So the immigrants are actually helping a revival in many ways of the Christian
I want you
faith.
to hold that thought right there. We got to go into a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about let you finish about what happened, and then we're going to talk about the future and what the church and the political arena is doing to solve this issue. We're going to a break. This is Luis Concepcion with Community College Magazine. Be right back.
I'm interested in biology.
Here's that information.
Accounting.
Communication.
Paralegal.
Nursing. Political science. Welding. Phlebotomy.
Night classes.
Zookeeping.
Animation. Reanimation.
No.
At PPCC, what you'll find will surprise you.
I'm interested in biology.
Here's that information.
Accounting.
Communication.
Chemistry and business.
Welding. Phlebotomy.
Night classes.
Zookeeping.
Animation.
Reanimation.
At PPCC, what you'll find will surprise you.
And we are back with the Community College Magazine, which is brought to you by Pikes Peak Community College. We've been talking with Dr. Carroll, who is a professor in the Denver Seminar, and also the Senator Owens, who is a senator from District 10, which is where Pikes Peak Community College is. Interesting, right? And we were talking about how the church is working into the immigration, okay? And that's when we cut you off, and I want you to finish your train of thought.
Well, just maybe a couple things. I think it's not the business of the church to get involved in policy. I mean, this is why we elect officials like Owen. You know, I see our role in the public square as being more of a prophetic voice, a moral conscience, you see, to speak up and to set a tone, you know, for a conversation. So if we can get politicians and church people working together, I think that's a constructive move.
Okay.
And so that's how I see the church moving. I see the church working hard nationally to change politicians' minds. And I think maybe the new piece of it,
Okay.
and this is part of something I've been involved in, is the role of evangelicals in the public square. And so writing, praying, all kinds of different things to get this conversation going in a positive way.
Okay, and I know time is flying by. I mean, it's amazing how we can use 15 minutes, you know, when we're talking about such an interesting topic. But I want to give you the opportunity to say what is, you know, the Republican Party, which you represent, doing to change the atmosphere and these talking points and the sound bites that we heard in the past in the issue of immigration?
That's a great question. I spent the last 5 years of my life working at Compassion International, working with kids in poverty in Latin, South America, Africa, and Asia. And so you see the need. You still see America represents this land of opportunity, this sense where you can come and you can take your skills and make a difference and make a good life for you and for your kids and hopefully for your grandkids. And so going forward, we've got to focus on that opportunity, and we've got to focus on distinguishing between some, unfortunately, who are poisoning this debate because they bring their crime, they're bringing drugs, and they're undermining the community in a sense here. But it's a tiny fraction of what's really going on. We can't let that poison good, solid discussion about how do we allow people to come in a spirit of free enterprise and work and conduct themselves, and then let's have a separate discussion about what citizenship looks like. Let's honor those who have done it the legal way. Let's honor those, but let's bring off some of the artificial quotas. Let's bring off some of the ridiculous, the government that comes in and says, no, there's only a certain amount of people we're going to let and come work, whether it's in high-skilled areas or whether it's in agricultural areas. We've got to make it easier for people to come and use, as long as there's a market and someone wants to pay them to come and use and make themselves better off through working here in America.
Okay, and what is the church doing from now on to help solve this issue of immigration?
Well, I think there's several things the church can do. One is to reach out to the immigrant community. A lot of Hispanic churches, the one I go to, for instance, meets in a church building. So if we can get immigrant churches and regular churches working together, ESL classes, and also trying to make pull some weight in the political arena, that'd be good. And those who are listening, there's something called the Evangelical Immigration Table. There's a lot of resources there, so we can resource the church about what the Bible says and the different things they can get involved in. That's helpful. So it would be the evangelicalimmigration.org. I would encourage your viewers to go there and see all kinds of resources for the debate.
Okay, and we are coming close to the end of the show. I would like to thank you for being here, Senator
Thanks for having
Owens.
us.
Thank you for joining. Dr. Carroll, thank you for coming. And
God bless you, man.
It's been a pleasure to have you here in the College Magazine. Hopefully we see each other in the near future. I'd like to thank my guests, and also I'd like to thank you for watching. This is Luis Concepcion with the Community College Magazine. Thanks for watching.
Community College Magazine is presented by Pikes Peak Community College and ITV. For more information about our programs, visit ppcc.edu or call 502-3000.